4-year, $140 million contract extension.
Thank you for getting this deal done. This is the start of it, but we ain't done yet.
Makes him not only the highest paid wide receiver in history, but the highest paid non-quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it finally happened. The most important contract of the offseason has officially been signed. And the repercussions of this one contract is going to affect many teams that have upcoming expiring wide receiver contracts. So before we get to the content, first, I wanted to apologize if my voice is sounding a little funky. I have some sort of mystery virus that I've been trying to fight over the past 8 days, and I don't think I'm doing myself any favors by recording. But on top of that, I'm thinking about giving away some copies of NCAA Football 25. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comment section down below. Now that we get all that out of the way, work! This is practically free money. To celebrate game 1 of the NBA Finals, PrizePicks is giving us a free square. All Jason Tatum needs is 1 point in the first game of the NBA Finals. To give you the best advantage, I highly recommend you enter these picks ASAP, because the closer you get to the game, the more likely the lines are going to get slimmer and slimmer. First, download PrizePicks and use my promo code FlightMike to get up to $100 of your deposit matched, and then enter this pick for game 1. Obviously, we're going to go with Jason Tatum. He's clearly going to get a point, but Derek Lively has always been able to get over 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists when he's been fully healthy. We're going to pick more on this. And then if you want to get really spicy, Derek White should easily be able to get 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's done that for the last 5 games. I'm going to put $25 to win $125. And I give away additional picks on my Instagram story at @TheFlightMike, so make sure you're followed there as well. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mike check 1212. What's going on, everybody? There's no question about it. The best wide receiver in the entire NFL is none other than Justin Jefferson. From the moment this individual entered the NFL, he was dazzling everyone with his route running, his ability to make nearly impossible receptions, and how he somehow, some way would always find a way to get wide open. The only thing I could compare Justin Jefferson's career to is the wide receiver equivalent of Patrick Mahomes. Never see a wide receiver entering the NFL and in year 1 coming down with 1,400 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. The crazy part about this was, in order to get Justin Jefferson, the Minnesota Vikings had to trade their previous wide receiver 1, which was Stephon Diggs, to the Buffalo Bills for the pick that would become Justin Jefferson. In year 2, Justin Jefferson proved it wasn't a fluke, getting over 1,600 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns, and once again being named a second-team All-Pro. In 2023, which was his last full season where he was fully healthy, Justin Jefferson had over 1,800 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns, finished top 5 in MVP voting, won NFL Offensive Player of the Year, was a first-team All-Pro, and a Pro Bowler. And even this past year, Justin Jefferson wasn't able to play through a full season, and through the 9 games he played, this man still had over 1,000 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. There's no question about it. This man is the heart and soul of the Minnesota Vikings. But there was a huge question about how much this man was going to get paid. And to be honest, the situation was so complicated that the Minnesota Vikings had to make major adjustments to their team. I'm not saying that Justin Jefferson is the main reason that the Vikings moved on from Kirk Cousins, but whenever you have the best wide receiver in the NFL that is expecting a record-breaking deal, you definitely have to think about how viable it is to pay your quarterback $50 million a year, which I'm assuming is what the Vikings thought they would have to pay to get Kirk Cousins to return, but alas, the Falcons didn't even pay him that much. Nevertheless, the Minnesota Vikings had a very clear path to retain Justin Jefferson. They just needed to get a quarterback that would be on a rookie scale contract, and that they did. During the NFL draft, there were 2 paths that this team could go in. There's reports that claim that the Minnesota Vikings were interested in trading Justin Jefferson during the NFL draft, and I don't doubt it at all. When you have a talent like Justin Jefferson, obviously it makes sense to dangle him and see what you could get in return for him. The problem is, it's very difficult to get Justin Jefferson's value in return in the NFL draft. I mean, it's very rare that you see the top wide receiver in the NFL available to be traded for when he hasn't even hit his prime yet, which is scary to think about. But then you also have to think about the teams that would be willing to part with those assets to get Justin Jefferson. What team would give up multiple first-round picks in order to trade for a player that deserves to be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL? It's nearly impossible to find, and you won't ever get the value of Justin Jefferson in return, which in my opinion would have been 2 first-round picks possibly. And it's kind of interesting because we would hear reports like this after the NFL draft.
Now the question is, do they pay Justin Jefferson, right? Now, all right, that's the fair question. If somebody but if they could have gotten neighbors for Jefferson, they probably would have traded him. But to trade him for draft picks that you don't know what you're getting back, how do you trade them? Everybody says, well, trade a player for 2 number ones. Well, I don't know what I'm getting with those 2 ones. Whereas if I traded him for neighbors who was a legitimate, could be a cheap number 1 receiver for 4 years, okay, now I could do that. So that becomes another issue.
Okay, so Justin Jefferson, everybody's assuming he is going to get paid because of the decision to move on from Kirk Cousins, bring in Sam, and then also draft a young player. Don't have to spend as much money at the trigger position. We can pay a wide receiver. That's seemingly how the market is shaping out.
Now, I don't know if this was a leverage play to tell Justin Jefferson, hey, we're willing to move on from you if you don't want to sign with us. But what I think is more realistic is at a specific point, the Vikings realize that they need to pay Justin Jefferson as soon as they possibly can, because there are a lot of wide receivers that are up for contract extension. And so far, the Philadelphia Eagles realized this, signing Devontae Smith and AJ Brown to a contract extension earlier this offseason. The day before AJ Brown got his contract extension, Amon-Ra St. Brown was extended by the Detroit Lions. We currently know that CeeDee Lamb is in a contract dispute with the Dallas Cowboys, and he even said himself that he doesn't mind waiting a little longer so Justin Jefferson could get paid. Then you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins that still haven't showed up for camp. You have Jalen Waddle that was extended during the offseason, and you currently have Tyreek Hill that is also angling for a contract extension. So it's essentially a race to pay your wide receiver as quickly as possible, but Justin Jefferson's contract was going to be the benchmark. This is the best wide receiver in the entire NFL. This is how much he's getting paid. If the Vikings could get ahead of the pack, then they could essentially do with Justin Jefferson what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. Pay him very, very quickly, and eventually that contract starts to look like a good contract in a few years' time. And that's exactly what the Vikings did. Justin Jefferson announced this on Monday morning.
The time has finally come. The deal I've been waiting for since I was a little kid. Being doubted my whole career, not being highly recruited, not being the first receiver off the draft board. This whole journey wasn't easy for me. First off, I want to thank the man above. Without God, wouldn't be possible at all. To be given a gift to play football at the highest level, it's a blessing, it's an honor. My mom and dad, thank you. This is a journey for all of us, and y'all stood with us every step of the way. To my brothers, Ricky and Jordan, y'all are everything. Y'all made me who I am today. This is a new step in our journey, a new step in life. Always dreamt of this moment, and to now share it with all of y'all, a dream that we all had. It's a blessing. Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi, the Wilfs, I appreciate y'all for giving me this opportunity. Ben, my agent, thank you for getting this deal done. Last but not least, thank you to the fans. Y'all set the tone, y'all set the mood, y'all set the energy, and I'm definitely excited to set that energy for 5 more years. Thank you, all of the ones that supported me throughout the whole way. This is the start of it, but we ain't done yet.
This video was coupled with Adam Schefter making the announcement. Vikings owner Mark and Ziggy Wilf. Over the first 4 seasons of his career, Justin entrenched himself as the best wide receiver and one of the most electric players in the NFL. He is a special talent, a committed teammate, and an excellent representative of the Vikings. Justin has earned this contract, and we are thrilled he will remain a Minnesota Viking for a very long time. We would then find out what the contract was, and to be honest, it's a pretty good contract. According to Adam Schefter, a record deal. The Minnesota Vikings and 3-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Justin Jefferson reached agreement on a 4-year, $140 million contract extension that includes $110 million guaranteed and makes him not only the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history, but the highest paid non-QB in NFL history. Justin Jefferson's deal includes $88.743 million due at signing, the highest non-QB guarantee at signing in NFL history, and it resets the wide receiver market. In my opinion, this is kind of what I expected Justin Jefferson to to get paid, and he really deserves it. And I think the Vikings are huge winners for getting this done so soon. You're not going to have to deal with Justin Jefferson holdouts now, which is very important considering the fact that you just drafted JJ McCarthy. But even furthermore, you have JJ McCarthy, who is on a rookie scale contract on your team. I've commented on this a lot in the past, but in terms of situations to go into, I mean, Caleb Williams has Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze to throw the football to. Jaden Daniels has Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and a much more improved offensive line. And then you have JJ McCarthy, who has the three sons to throw the football to: Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and Justin Jefferson. I mean, these are some remarkable situations to go into if you're a rookie QB, and it's great that Justin Jefferson's going to be fully locked in and focused on football to help the development of JJ McCarthy or build chemistry with Sam Darnold. Now, this is kind of bad news for the rest of the impending wide receiver free agency market. I mean, Brandon Ayuk has been in a war with the San Francisco 49ers throughout the entire offseason. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase haven't showed up to OTAs. Amari Cooper's expecting a contract extension as well. And then we have CeeDee Lamb, who, when you compare to Justin Jefferson, has 700 less yards for sure, but has more total touchdowns, 3 Pro Bowls, 1 less All-Pro, and the same amount of seasons to play in the NFL. So this changes everything for all the other wide receivers in the NFL, and it's why I made a video on the Dallas Cowboys titled "This is a Disaster," because they waited way too long. You could have went up to CeeDee Lamb 2 days ago and signed him to the largest contract in football, paying him $32 million a year annually, which is very significant considering the fact that the Cowboys have to pay Dak Prescott and eventually Micah Parsons. But now you waited too long, and CeeDee Lamb's probably going to expect like $34 or $35 million a year annually. In terms of T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, in the past I was a little concerned about whether or not the Bengals would be able to sign both of them, but now that you're seeing a trend in the NFL where Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are getting paid big money, and then Devontae Smith and AJ Brown are both getting big contracts. Sure, Devontae Smith isn't getting paid as much as AJ Brown, but in the past you would see teams that were unwilling to even pay one wide receiver. Remember, AJ Brown got traded from the Titans to the Philadelphia Eagles because the Tennessee Titans were wondering if it was Ryan Tannehill making AJ Brown or AJ Brown making Ryan Tannehill. So they thought that they could get AJ Brown's production if they drafted an AJ Brown clone in the 2022 NFL draft, and they traded AJ Brown for the first round pick that would become Treylon Burks, and so far, that's not working out so well. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes it does work out. Sometimes you get Stephon Diggs being traded for Justin Jefferson. But in this case, now we have to turn our focus and attention on Brandon Ayuk, who's also been in a war with the San Francisco 49ers. Personally, I could see the 49ers and Ayuk coming to terms on a 4-year deal that pays him $31 million a year annually. I feel like T. Higgins could return to the Cincinnati Bengals, but he would have to accept a contract that is kind of where Devontae Smith's or Jalen Waddle's contract is, something that pays him about $115 million through a span of 4 years. In terms of CeeDee Lamb, I think CeeDee Lamb's going to get paid the exact amount Justin Jefferson's getting paid. And then a new can of worms is, this is how Tyreek Hill's agent feels about the contract that Justin Jefferson just received.
It's safe to, acknowledge that I've been in touch with Chris Greer and Brandon Shore of the Dolphins. I certainly have a fluid line of communication with them, and I've shared with them how Tyreek feels. And I'll also reiterate that Tyreek has said that he would love to finish his career here with the Dolphins. So without getting into any more specifics, the Dolphins know how we feel.
I think that Jamar Chase could potentially beat Justin Jefferson's contract if he decides to play out this year and he has a very good year. Jamar Chase was drafted a year after Justin Jefferson, so it really depends on how the Bengals want to handle T. Higgins and Jamar Chase's contract. I think he's either going to beat Justin Jefferson's contract, not that he's better than Justin Jefferson, I just think that's how it's going to go, or he's going to get the same exact contract as Justin Jefferson. We're going to do a deep dive on the Cincinnati Bengals situation this week for you guys because I think that's so complicated. Let me know what you guys think about Justin Jefferson's contract in the comment section down below. Do you think he was paid fairly? Do you think he was overpaid? Or do you think he should have been traded? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.